Hey everyone, welcome to this awesome edition of Electronic Cafe. My good buddy Mark and I have just had a great conversation with Richard Silverthorn and Mark Hockings from Mesh, talking about their amazing new album, The Truth Doesn't Matter. Mate, I say it every time, but we just love the people we talk to, don't we? And these two are no exception.
Yeah, I mean, we're really lucky. I mean, we've loved Mesh for a number of years. They're one of those bands that are 8 albums in, and it's like, why haven't people discovered Mesh? Why aren't Mesh massive? Because their output and their songs are just huge. Anthemic, electronic production, everything about it is just huge. It just, for me, I just scratch my head every single time. It's just like Mesh should be better known than what they are. And hopefully this interview will introduce people to Mesh. Hopefully it helps them, and the new album as well, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. They're kind of built for massive venues, and without giving too much away, they are pretty big in Europe. So Electronic Cafe fans in the UK, just check this out, and if you don't know them, see what you're missing.
This will go out just before the forthcoming tour in Europe and the UK. Go and catch them live. They're a phenomenal band.
Yeah, definitely. Should we dive in, mate?
Yep, everybody, catch Mesh on the Electronic Cafe.
Well, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, mate, because I'm the same with you guys. I often watch your all your bits and bobs you do. So yeah, cool. I like it. I like it. It's just relaxed, and I think that's quite a nice thing to watch. I mean, it's
like, what was it, 300 episodes, Mark, plus?
Wow. Honestly,
it feels more.
Years ago, it was me and him sitting on the sofa talking bollocks about Craftwork.
I mean, that would have been done on a videotape, wouldn't it? It wouldn't have been done on a phone, would it?
No, it's one of those cameras where they go and the magnesium smoke comes out. It was sepia. It was like,
saying, "Lady, don't drive." Hey everyone, welcome to this awesome interview edition of Electronic Cafe. We're dead excited to have Mr. Richard Silverthorn and welcoming back the fabulous Mark Hockings from Mesh. Welcome to Electronic Cafe, gents. We're absolutely delighted to have you on. It's really good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Congrats on, is it album number 8? The Truth Does Matter, out on the 27th of March. We were talking about this earlier, Richard, before Mark joined us. There just seems to be a real buzz around this album. Are you guys feeling it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why that is, but yeah, it does really feel like it's kind of ramped up for some reason. Maybe it's because we have been away for a while, and and it kind of feels like a comeback, even though we've not come back from anything. But I mean, it's that kind of hype, and the record companies are really behind it and they love it, and so it's all going well so far.
Yeah, we're loving it too. I mean, it's sounding fabulous, mate. So can't wait for everyone else to grab a copy when it's out on the 27th of March, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Brilliant stuff. I'll ask Mark this one. I mean, it's been 10 years since Looking Skywards, your last album.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot's happened in 10 years. We've had COVID. I mean, you've had re-releases. You've had the Black Car Burning album and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years. I mean, without trying to sound rude, like, why 10 years?
I don't know. It's been 5 years, probably almost 6 years since COVID. So that, I mean, that's one thing, I guess. That's a weird sort of time warp thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, that was a couple of years ago." Yeah, it was before COVID. So that was at least 5 years ago, whatever they're talking about. I don't know. We spent a lot of time touring, or doing shows. I think just building a fan base up. And another part of it is I think we were just a little bit, maybe a bit tired. Just, we've been doing this a long time. And sometimes you just have to step back a little bit. And, like I've said this before in interviews, when you commit to an album, you're not just committing to writing an album, you're committing to 2 or 3 years out of your life. And it's, it's a big commitment. We both still work, this is not what we do all the time. Although we do this all the time. So it's a big thing to, you can't just say, oh yeah, we'll just do an album, because we got a record company. We're not doing it on our own. They expect you to do certain things. They expect you to be available. They expect you to go out on tour. They expect you to write a good record and, and put a lot of commitment into it. There's just been a lot going on, I guess. And I think just mentally, we were probably just a little bit exhausted, I think.
Yeah. I mean, listening to all your stuff, you guys are perfectionists. I mean, the way you produce, and I think you probably do a lot of the mastering yourself.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's not really acceptable to just go into it half-heartedly. I think you either do it or you don't. And if you do it, then everything has to be, you have to have the energy to make it, as perfect as you can make it. It's never going to be perfect, obviously, but you have to be able to do the best you can do, and you have to have the time to be able to do it. And if you can't commit to that, I find it uncomfortable to say, okay, shall we give it a go?
Yeah.
I think we both have to be in the right state of mind to be able to, give everything to it. Because, I mean, it is very, very, it's, getting into the weeds doesn't even describe it. This is like surgery. Do you know what I mean? The way these things are put together.
Take time to own it. It's yours, you've grown it. Demonstrate another way. Make this a special day. The truth only works if no one gets hurt. If no one gets hurt, the truth doesn't matter at all. The truth only.
We're fortunate. I mean, we've heard the album, and again, the production is just off the chart. It's phenomenal. It's brilliant.
I mean, the level of madness that you get into listening to it endlessly. It's like you're down to certain frequencies now. Do you know what I mean? There's a frequency in there. I mean, honestly, the amount of time I spent on S's on vocals, which honestly I can't hear anymore. But there was a point in time where I could hear every fucking. Sorry, I should. Makes it difficult for you. Every S in the thing. I said, "Is that? Yeah,
I got you. When you guys were all in for the new album, I mean, Mark's has described the surgery, pain and stuff. But did you have material ready to go? Or was it a case of we've got a blank canvas, let's go?
I mean, we had a couple of ideas because, like I said, we've never really stopped, you know what I mean? So we had a few things kind of knocking around, but it almost just kind of got put on the back boiler. And, then when we started putting stuff together, we revisited some of these, and the track Hey Stranger was something that was really kind of probably, I don't know, 5,
it's
8
at least
years
5 years old, yeah.
Oh, really?
Before COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID, yeah. So we kind of revisited that one, and then it was all of a sudden you sort of think, actually, this is a good song, So we kind of persevered with it, and it came out great. So yeah, I mean, there was, like I said, there was stuff kind of kicking around, but I think the biggest kind of bulk of the work was all new stuff. So
we had a couple to sort of get us going. Hey Stranger was one of them. Tilt was another one with the B-side that we released on the last single. That was another one that was knocking about. Bury Me Again as well is pretty old.
It's when you revisit, I think you kind of change a few things. Like the drums might sound a bit kind of like old, or a certain section might sound not quite right. So although it's an older track, it's kind of still got like the kind of up to date production on it. So
it's got the right vibe to it, and it's going to be all right. It's just it's surprising how it moves on. Production that we did probably 5 years ago, it already sounds, from a demo point of view, sounds dated. I think sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of changes, particularly around mastering software and stuff like that, which make a hell of a difference.
I can't remember if you were angry. Your voice is softer. I don't trust my memory. Hey, stranger, I cried for you for much too long. Everything I said was wrong.
I mean, musically, it sounds like really strong, but equally, Mark, your lyrics, you've always had that really strong lyrics. The album's now called The Truth Doesn't Matter. I mean, I guess the way the world is now with politicians just taking no responsibility for anything, everything's fake news, and there's a core to your lyrics that go all the way through. And the interesting thing is as well, the last track on the album is called Be Kind. The madness that's going on and the way people react to each other and talk to each other, social media and everything. Be kind as the full stop at the end is kind of like the perfect kind of like end game.
At the moment, I mean, for the last few years, I've been very, obviously very into watching American politics, which is exhausting in itself. But, it's highly entertaining and interesting what's going on. And I've sort of fallen into that little rabbit hole a little bit. And so there's a lot of that in there, just watching what's going on and what people are prepared to put up with. Is extraordinary at the moment, really.
Quite staggering, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's sitting there thinking, I don't know how this is happening, but I mean, nobody seems to be doing anything about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
We're all just sitting here seeing what's going to happen, and I think maybe, it might be a bit of an existential event in a moment. I mean, it's all going, it's not just who we're all constantly thinking about 24 hours a day, but I mean, they're all colluding in it, and it's come at a time when there's so much information that you've got your fingers on, and whatever you want to believe in, you can believe in, because there's hundreds of thousands of people out there that think similarly.
Yeah,
you can exist in your own world of your own making now, very easily. Unless you're skeptical and you question what you see and what you hear, you can construct your own little world where everyone believes in what you want to believe in, and it's
very true, my friend.
Not everyone's equipped to deal with that.
Yeah, there's obviously a thread that goes through the album. I mean, there's tracks like This World, Killing Us with Silence, Hey Stranger, which is obviously there's a thread to the world we live in. I mean, like politically, I mean, I've always enjoyed your lyrics as in that they make you think, as well as like wrapping it up in a catchy tune. But I mean, there's obviously a thread running through this whole record.
And it's good. I think it's like, they're almost that kind of like I said, that political kind of feel to some of them. Again, it's like, the way Mark writes it, I said, it's very ambiguous. So you make up your own mind what you think it's about. But,
yeah,
if you apply that thought to it, I think it's quite good. And like I said, the be kind thing is just such a simple statement at the end. It doesn't take a lot, does it?
No.
And if you had just a bit of understanding for all different creeds, races, whatever, it's like it's just a good way and maybe a positive note to finish the whole thing on, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, both those tracks at the end, I mean, Not Everyone Is Lonely and Be Kind, they're almost like a pair, I think, those two. And I think you have to take both sides of the, it's not everyone's being mean and everyone's horrible. I mean, that's not the case. I mean, you don't, that's not your general experience when you go through life. It's just that it's easy to believe that everyone's out to get you, but I mean, it's not the case. It's just that that kind of thing is there all the time. But
yeah.
So those were kind of just little antidotes, really. I think it was almost a bit extreme. Be kind, but I think it works as a track.
Yeah, 100%.
Compassion is deconstructed. It sucks the air out of every room. There's a line of talking heads causing chaos from their beds. You're not on their team. You never have been.
mean, we both know your love of technology helps shape your music, but has it got easier now, or is it because there's so much choice? Does it make it more difficult? Like you talked about crushing out your S's, Mark. You know, almost sport for choice, Rich. Do you think, or
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I mean, I think there, like, you do get kind of caught up in this whole thing, and there's just, like I said, there's so much choice now. Whereas before, I think, those early albums, I sometimes go back and listen to them, and I think, how the hell did we do that? It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's like I can't even remember how we done it. Whereas now, to drop a drum loop in something and it just falls in time and all this kind of stuff, it makes life very, very easy. But like you said, there's such a palette of sounds nowadays, and different means of kind of making sounds and plugins. You kind of do get a little bit lost sometimes, technology.
I mean, I've gone down a horrible technology rabbit hole lately. So for this tour and for the album, I mean, I've been writing my own programs to do the stuff that I need to do, because I can use GitHub and coding AIs now to write. I was coming up against barriers for doing the videos for the backdrop for tour, and in the end I've just been writing my own programs, my own video programs that run off of BPM clocked LFOs that drive effects, and it's incredible. I mean, what you can do. The same thing with I've just started writing like granular synths for just pissing about to see what you can do, but I mean, that is something else. I mean, I'm okay at coding. I'm not great, but I don't need to be anymore. Honestly, I just say, do this. And it says, yeah, do you want me to do this for you? And it just does it. There's AIs chatting to each other in the background, testing it all, and it comes out the other end and it's usable. Wow. It's not perfect, but
I don't need to be good at coding either, because Mark does it.
Yeah, because I do it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tied into my job, but yeah. I mean, that sort of thing is quite something else.
I didn't expect a second chance. I never gave you a second glance. I'm an empty man in a bitter, broken land. And you can see the face of God in everything. It's not the way I want it to be.
Feeding off of that, like as an extra question, I mean, you guys write the album and then you get it done, and then you take it out on the road. How does the process work? I mean, you guys have got the album, then you go. I mean, you have Vaughan and you have Sean on drums, and then you kind of deliver it to the band, and everyone learns their parts. Or how do you divide it up? I mean, what's the process?
Yeah, exactly that. Really, I mean, we, every time we do a tour, we always kind of strip the songs back down again, and I think we kind of, I think as a kid growing up watching bands, that was what made it a live performance exciting for me, and just hearing a band that was actually playing something different or doing something different, as opposed to just sounding like the album you've just bought.
Yeah.
So we always do that. We always kind of strip it back down, and then we get some kind of tracks together and some ideas, and then, like I said, we just ship it out to Sean, Vaughan. They learn their part, and we kind of do our bit. So that the whole live experience is a live experience, which is quite something, really. I mean, a lot of bands we know just kind of basically use like karaoke, isn't it? So, we do make the effort to kind of.
Well, what have we done? 3 months now, 4 months. It's just this, just the tour. I mean, you sort of got to start in parallel in a little bit. I mean, there was a bit of overlap, I guess. But, the album production was pretty intense, so we didn't have a lot of time. And weirdly, we found ourselves up against a deadline that we thought we had plenty of time, and we just didn't. You've got a year, right? And we were halfway through it, right? You got a year to get it out. Well, that'll be fine. And that's working on it all the time. I mean,
So for the tour, I mean, are you doing the album in its entirety? I mean, you got a tour starting in May. I think you're in London in May. Are you doing the whole album, or you? I mean, you got.
I'm not really sure yet. We're not sure. We will be prepared to do the whole album. So we'll have all the tracks. It's a difficult one, really. It depends on the band, doesn't it? I think some bands you only want to hear 2 or 3 tracks, and then you really don't want to hear the new album. It's almost the last thing you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing quite like, oh, here's a new song.
Yeah, but I think we're maybe in a slightly different position. I don't know, because we're not a band that had a one hit in 1985, and everyone wants to hear that, and they're not interested in anything else you've done since. It's more of an ongoing project with us, I think.
I mean, you still got the obvious ones, haven't you?
We've got to do them, yeah.
Big hits, or what hits? I say hits. We've never had a hit in our life.
Yeah,
we've done the big songs, but so you just trying to interweave it with the kind of new stuff, and chances are, we're going to have to drop a few. We can't just do the whole album, otherwise we'll be on stage for maybe 2 hours or something. So,
but the new songs they'll fit in perfectly because they've got the Mesh DNA going through them. They're absolutely fucking brilliant. Here's a new track. Everyone's gonna love hearing the new tracks live. I will.
The only slight complication with all this is that the album doesn't come out to the 27th.
Yeah.
Which, even if you're the biggest fan in the world, doesn't give you a lot of time to get your head around it, because it is a little bit of a grower, this album. It's not immediately obvious what's going on. I think it's one of those, it's got enough depth to it to keep you interested for a long time, but I think getting into it is not an immediate thing. People are obviously going to know the singles.
So what did you think on first listen? Do you think is a grower? I mean, I've always loved those kind of albums, growing up. All those albums that I didn't particularly like on first listen, that grow on you, probably become some of your favourite albums of all time,
No, exactly. There's been albums that I've been really excited to receive, and that are instantly, you love them, and you normally find you play them to bits and then you don't play them for years.
Never again.
But there's other albums, and it can be a frame of mind where you listen to it and you think, oh, I didn't really get into it. You go back to it years later and go, why didn't I get into that? It's brilliant. Yeah. But this one, I loved it from the outset. I've heard it all the way through about 5 times now. I really love it. I mean, it is accessible, but it's not like a disposable accessible. It's kind of like there's stuff going on in there. There's stuff going on in there which is really interesting. The sound of it. I mean, I'm really loving the slower tracks, the more anthemic tracks, but that's just my preference on this album. But it sounds phenomenal. I mean,
the first couple of people who heard it, they come back and they said it's a very mature album. It's like, what's that mean?
That's never good in any context.
Does that mean we're old, or does it mean it's like we've kind of perfected our craft? I don't really know.
Yeah, so. I think it's that. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I love Exile. I mean, Mark's talking about slightly slower, but I love Exile. I think it's a fabulous track. They all bloody good, but I really got my back of my hairs and the back of my neck standing on because it's just brilliant. When it does that, I know it's good.
That track was almost not written. I mean, I didn't write the lyrics to that until we were actually mixing the album in Germany.
Right.
I mean, I had 5 minutes because I got Cubase on my phone. I know it sounds pretty terrible, but yeah. So I can do lyrics on my phone now in Cubase with an Apple wired headset. You can't use a Bluetooth one because there's too much delay. So you can actually write now as you're walking around, when you're walking the dog or something, you can start doing lyrics. It's amazing. I mean, this is where productivity, I think, with the technology is, you can get a lot more done. But also the flip side of that is you end up with a lot more to do. So you never actually get any time back. You just end up doing more because you can do more in a shorter period of time. So what would have taken you 6 months, 20 years ago is still taking you 6 months now. It's just that there's more in it. So I think people just allocate an amount of time, and if you've still got time to do it, you'll add another, you'll add another synth line in there. Do you know what I mean? Instead of having a little break, nobody does that.
There's a world out there they don't want you to share, but you want that mess. Knock, knock with your pound of flesh. You can't release the pressure. You can't live with the pain. You can't have the things they do, 'cause you and me don't think the way they do. Do what you can.
So you guys started in '91 from Bristol. I mean, there must be something in the water down there, because you had Massive Attack, Portishead, Ronnie Size. I mean, what got you into music, and what were you listening to at the time?
Well, I guess it's the same as most people in this kind of genre of music, isn't it? I was kind of listening to. I mean, I think my first recollection of really liking electronic music was Doctor Who. as crazy as it sounded, it was just that kind of theme, and it was that kind of like, wow, what is this? Then all the electronic bands came about, in that kind of early 80s thing. So it was kind of the OMDs. YAZOO was a massive influence, I think, on both of us, the Depeche Mode. But I was also constantly looking for something interesting. So it was all these underground bands as well, like Fad Gadget and Portion Control and Front 242, bands that none of my friends had ever heard of. Something I was into. So that was where it all started for me.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, definitely upstairs at Eric's. OMD were quite a big thing for me, because I like the atmosphere of it. I always loved the atmosphere. The production was a bit odd, but I love the atmosphere of those records.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
And Gary Newman.
Yeah, I've never really. I like Gary Newman a lot, but I mean, it was never on my radar. I think it was just slightly before, because it was 70s, wasn't it? I mean, I was probably only about 10. You know what I mean? It was like early for me, really.
Kind of stuff, but those first singles, it was just like something from outer space. It just absolutely blew my mind. The kind of Cars and Our Friends Electric and all that kind of stuff. It was
I had a pathological aversion to anything that looked like it might have a guitar on it at the time. And he kind of falls into that bracket a little bit, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? I was never really comfortable with OMD playing a bass guitar, if I was honest, but I was willing to overlook that because I liked it so much. I mean, it wasn't obvious from the records that he was doing that, but then I saw him live and I thought, but I do love the record. The records are great.
Yeah, you're right.
There was stuff, I guess, like DAF and Netzareb and those kind of things, which was odd, but they were so electronic, to the point that it was quite offensive to people that just didn't understand. They didn't know what they were doing. What are these people doing? What is this? I don't think I've ever met anyone who likes DAF in my normal circle of people.
I did have a 12-inch. Was it Deutsche Amerikanische Frontschau?
Yeah. It was like a red one, like red sleeve.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Great track.
If I could wake up one day, make a change, I wish you knew that I would. Every time we fall into the traps we made for ourselves.
You're saying you guys have been together for some time now. I mean, what's the magic of you two? Because it does work so well. What do you put it down to? I mean, I know it might be hard to describe, but you've got a great chemistry.
I think fundamentally we've got a lot in common. I mean, we always have. I mean, it's not just the music, really. It's a sense of humour. It's hobbies. It's things we're into. There's a lot of that. We're not just two musicians that really have nothing else in common. I think, if we didn't have the music, we'd still be really good friends. You know what I mean? So I don't know, it's weird because we grow up, within, it's just a miracle that we never met before, because we know all the same people from when we grew up. I probably wasn't allowed out because I'd been naughty one day. Otherwise, I would have met him. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he had to go home early for tea or something. I don't know. But we just never met each other. It's weird.
Yeah, it clearly works. You guys got great chemistry. You really have.
I'm going to say, I just think the sense of humour helps. You know what I mean? It's a really difficult business to be in this. You know what I mean? And it's so demoralising, but also can be kind of, you know, kind of euphoric feeling. But most of the time, we're just having a right laugh. You know, behind the scenes, we're just a pair of idiots. You know, and it's like, I think that helps. You know what I mean? Because you have a good time through the thick and the thin of it. You know, so
Been through a hell of a lot. You know, I mean, it's just a very strange business to be in. You know, the things we have to do. You know, we're probably going to be doing some on Monday for a video. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a ridiculous day or evening, and you just sort of you take it as like it's a normal thing that happens to people. But it isn't. You know, we spent a lot of time on tour buses doing things. You know, that in itself, most people can't really get their head around that somebody's allowing you to do this. You know what I mean? You know, you should need a special license to be able to do things like that. You know what I mean?
So you guys will be spending quite a bit of time on a tour bus because you've got a lot of dates coming up this year. I think you got a European and UK tour starting in April. We're going to see you at the London show 229, which is a good venue actually. We put on we've done 4 Electronic Cafe Live events.
Okay.
And we use 229 all the time. So it's
Right, good.
That's a good venue. So you guess you must be excited to see the reaction of a live audience to the new album.
yeah, I think so. There's a massive kind of dose of anxiety with all this. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think ticket sales have been really good in Europe. It's starting to pick up in the UK. So. Yeah, it's like we're all quite excited, like I said, as well as the kind of whole kind of slight nervousness about it all. But
I had a lot of time to think about it, really, because I mean, I don't know what I did yesterday. I did 16 hours of video editing yesterday.
Jesus.
I'm probably going to do the same today. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to think about it. It's just, this bit's the worst bit for me. It's just the tour prep. Although I kind of enjoy it. There's a lot to do. It's just getting the show, technically getting it together. It's quite tricky. I mean, we got a few new things as well that we're going to be doing. You know, just programs and stuff that run the tour show. You know, I mean, all that's got to be tested yet. We haven't tested that yet.
Oh, wait to see it, mate. Really can't.
Yeah.
Know that your following in Europe is massive, and but it's bigger in the UK. I mean, why do you think that is? Because Mark and I were talking about it the other day. We just can't figure it out.
I think, you know, even right in the early days, you know, we quite quickly gained a bit of an audience, you know, which was really good for us. But it was just so difficult. It was just so hard in the UK. And then we got the offer to go to, I think we started out and going to Sweden. And that was really good. And then we got some offers to go to Germany, and it just took off, and it just got bigger and bigger. And then you come back to the UK, and it was just hard work with the clubs and the club promoters, and it's just a different world in Europe. You know what I mean? And even America, we've toured America and done that, and that was great. It's just, I don't know what it is about the UK. It's just difficult. It's just maybe sometimes, you know, if you're the right band and you got the right people behind you, it all falls into place. But we've always found it's a bit of a struggle. And, like, you know, like I said, you go to a club in Germany, you're there at 8 o'clock in the morning, they've prepared breakfast for you, all the crews loaded your stuff in, etc. You know, you go to London and it's like, oh yeah, Dave, the lighting guy, ain't here till 4 o'clock. You've got the keys. You know what I mean? And it's like this, and it's just like, you know, I'm not knocking the UK, but it could really do with taking a kind of leaf out of the kind of Europeans book. You know, it's like
I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's a national trait or something. I really don't know. I mean, whether there's an element of cynicism about music or any kind of creative endeavor whatsoever. I really don't know. It's definitely a different attitude here. I don't know if people in this country form long-term attachments to bands. I don't know if people are different. I really don't know.
Yes,
Or whether that was never seen as a thing. You know, I don't know. Always seems very, very transient here. But
and I think that's why we gravitated towards Europe, and we put all our effort into these things, and you see the return. So it was like, yeah, well, it just made sense to go there, and kind of, you know, and it's kind of like I said, we do all right. Go to Spain, Germany. You know, we've been to Russia 5 or 6 times, I think, and you know, and got a really good response and a big crowd, and you just think, well, you know, it's better time used going to these places than it is trying to kind of play, I don't know, the dog and duck in, I don't know, wherever. You know, it's like, it's just hard work. But
I think if we had more time, maybe it would be different. You know, I don't know whether it is just a feet on the ground thing. Maybe we just haven't played enough in the UK to build that following up. You know, I mean, you know, the hardcore fans that we get in the UK are no different really than the ones we get in Germany. There's just more of them in Germany. And I think if we maybe spent the time going up and down the country, like we have done in Germany and in Sweden and whatever, then in Scandinavia, then maybe it would be different. I really don't know.
I also think the level of exposure opportunities in this country seem small because, yeah, Mark and I talk about it all the time. Like, you know, when we were growing up, you had Top of the Pops, Old Grey Whistle Test and stuff like that. And, you know, what upsets me is we hear a band like you and we're thinking, fuck, if they got one appearance on Jules On, that would change everything for them.
Yeah. You know, I think it's probably is exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a bit unfair that, you know, there's a different type of audience. Maybe there isn't. I mean, maybe it's partially our fault, you know. I mean, I think that one of the problems is we had an opportunity when we were, you know, quite early on to go touring in Europe, that we took that opportunity, and I think that's probably where our fan base has come from, you know, just because somebody gave us an opportunity. Now I think probably partially the problem is that nobody gave us that opportunity in the UK, so therefore we took the one that we had in Europe.
It makes sense, mate.
If things had been different, then, you know, possibly we'd be popular in the UK more so than now, and we'd be struggling in Europe. I don't know.
And for a new band, you know, if you ever got like a kind of support slot with anybody, I think that also kind of really kickstarts things. You know, I mean, we did manage in the early days to get kind of three support slots with Gary Newman.
Yeah, that was
even
amazing.
now, there's still people come up to me and say, you know, that's the first time we ever saw you. It's amazing. I love you guys and all this kind of stuff. Again, that may have helped, but you know,
he's a really lovely guy.
Yeah,
got a lot of time for him. Mark told him the story. I was thrown out of school once, turning up in a black jumpsuit, 4 red belts, and eyeliner.
I can't understand why.
You know, we got tracks on Future Music, the first, you know, and that, you know, we're still dining out on that now. I mean, so it's things like that. It just doesn't seem to be the opportunities. You know, I mean, we went to London, we did the old, you know, go around the record companies and do all that shit. You know, it's just brutal. Really,
it's a brutal.
It's soul destroying. Yeah. You know, luckily, we work with a lot of Germans now, so anything negative that anyone can say to us, really, we're pretty much immune to it now. Do you know what I mean? So we're quite, you know, that gives us a good standing to take any negative criticism. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we did the same thing, Andy, didn't we? Me and Andy was in bands, but we had a little bit of success, but I think we was a bit complacent, but we went around all the record companies, and I think I've got a file of all the rejection letters somewhere.
Yeah, I have.
Like literally from everyone. I think at the time, like Muff Winwood was rejected us, and just like all the, you know.
And the thing we found with most of it was like we was getting kind of you know, you send out 20 cassettes or whatever, and then you get 3 come back. And they would be interested, and you think, all right, we're on with it. I think we had it with Virgin Records and a few ones.
Yeah, we went to Virgin.
And then when you get back to him, that guy, that A&R, oh no, he's left.
He's gone.
It's like, all right, it's starting again now. It was just soul destroying.
We found out he had an interest in electronic music, and we fired him.
Or you get the cassette back, and they've it's about 10 seconds in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, I've got great expectations for this album. I think this could be the album that really brings you to another audience, and it's going to be a big success for you. Fingers crossed, anyway. A couple of quick questions before we let you guys go. If you're stranded on a desert island, what would your desert island disc be?
Upstairs at Eric's, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I could live with that for another 20 years.
Yeah, it still sounds really fresh now. You know what I mean? It's just one of those albums, isn't it? It's just fantastic. Yeah.
I've got one for you guys. Table for 4 each, so you can have 3 guests each, dead or alive. Who's at your table, Mark and Richard?
Okay. I would say maybe Trent Reznor. I quite like what the guy does. I think he's a genius. I'm not so sure I like his new stuff so much, but I think in the early days he was kind of quite groundbreaking. So that'd be one. There's a composer guy, and I often bring this up, but there's a guy called Craig Armstrong, and he writes. He's very, very kind of connected with films and film scores and all this kind of stuff. He does done all the strings on Massive Attack records, but he does his own stuff, and it's just amazing. I love that kind of that full big orchestra, but done in a kind of modern way. And so I think he would be definitely a guest for me. But maybe Vince Clarke. I love old Vince.
Oh, he's coming to my dinner party. You can't have him.
Oh, is he? No,
yeah, he's already accepted.
He's cancelled me. Sorry.
Sharing him.
Well, we spoke to Vince a year or so ago when he brought out his ambient record. And I mean, me and Andy grew up in Upminster, just up the road from Basildon, and we used to see Depeche Mode like back in the early days at Crocs and Raquel's and all these tiny little clubs. And we mentioned that to Vince, and he was like he didn't believe we're as old as we were. He was like, "Nah, we were there back in those days, seeing those old Depeche Mode shows." But
relics.
Yeah, but Vince weren't having any of it. But it's interesting you say about the filmic things, Rich, because your album with the Leipzig Orchestra is just phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean that for us is kind of almost a kind of pinnacle moment in your career. I just remember just standing. We turned up. and We'd done a rehearsal in Poland, and they just walked in. It was just like a whole kind of auditorium of kind of chairs, and then these guys walked in. Obviously, all the musicians. They sat down. They handed out the music, and they just played it, and it was just my god. They'd never practiced this. They just literally sat there and read the music and played, some compositions. And I just looked at Mark thinking, we'd written this, and now it's being played by an orchestra, and it was just like one of those. Yeah, you never recreate that moment. It was just amazing. Really, really, really cool.
Everything that's wrong needs a mind that's stronger. I'm not half that man, but I'm helpless when you're gone. You'll have to be perfect, no exception, no lies.
So, Mr. Hocking, who's at your table, buddy? Pop.
It's gonna be a pretty dull evening. I would have Richard Feynman.
Yep.
He was a physicist and also plays. Well, he's dead now, but plays the bongos. So he's got an interest in music. Very interesting guy. So that would be good. He'd be talking a lot. I'd also have Brian Cox. So I'd have a couple of physicists at my table.
Nice.
Because I think he's very interesting. He's quite thin as well, so he wouldn't eat very much. The bill would be quite small. What? Who else would I have? I would have Vince Clarke would be good, wouldn't he?
Yeah. He's around my house, Mark. So
yeah, I know, but he's coming on another night.
Oh.
And I don't think he eats very much either, so that'd be good.
Brilliant. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's all three, isn't it? Yeah.
Brilliant.
I might, if there's another chair, I might have Vince Gilligan, the producer who does like Breaking Bad and all that. I think he's an interesting guy.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool, guys. Listen, really appreciate you giving up the Sunday for us. We, as Mark says, we absolutely love this album. Everyone in EC land, grab this album, because if you don't, you'll miss out. It is definitely going to feature sometime at the end of the year, I reckon.
Thanks, guys. It's really appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time. I mean, yeah, I can only mirror what Andy said. I mean, really love it. And we wish you all the very best, but not that you'll need it.
And we'll see you at the 229.
We'll have a beer.
100%, mate. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you with Mr. Jones, Blancmange, and Heaven 17.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Down in Taunton.
we're coming down. It'll be amazing. Cider.
Thank you very, very much.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers,
Have a good
guys.
day. Enjoy your
Thanks a
weekend.
lot.
Guys,
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
take care.
I can't believe the news that you're gone. There's just this empty space, and everything feels